this is a legacy thing for everyone that shows up and votes for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like whether you don't do anything else, if you show up and vote for it, you're doing something that is a legacy thing. It's going to protect something for your kids and grandkids. And I like to quote conservation stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Roosevelt used to talk about generations still in the womb of time. People that will never know your name, like you're doing something for them. That's a really powerful concept when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're protecting something that they may not even understand the forethought.
This is the Connected by Water podcast, fueled by Papa's Pilar Rum, who remind us never to be a spectator. And protected by Starbright, where it's always Starbright season. Special thanks to our sponsors, Seaward Systems, Olakai, Parchview, and Link Genie for their great support of our show. This episode was recorded in our Seaward Systems studio, located on the eastern edge of the Florida Everglades. Are you done with duck hunting? Like for the season? I mean, I don't
No, it hasn't started yet.
I don't know anything about duck hunting.
So it starts in September.
September. It starts in September.
Starts in September.
Okay.
Pray for rain.
And then how long does that go for?
So there's a week in September. This year it's 4 days because it's federally set.
Okay.
So it's 4 days in September, and then it closes till the week of Thanksgiving. There's 9 days there.
Okay.
And then it runs from like the first or second week of December till the end of January.
Oh, so it's pretty decent size.
Yeah, it's 63 days this year,
Right.
or 64 days in total this year.
All right. Can you take me duck hunting?
Absolutely. No, we will.
I've always
We will
wanted
do
to
that
go.
for sure.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go. I just
Say as soon as the season opens, I'll tell you. Like as we get closer and we figure out if we're going to have water,
right.
I'll pick some dates and say, hey, do you want to come in now, or do you want to come then, or when do you want to come?
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to do that. I want to
Bring John.
You want to go duck hunting? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Oh, you didn't mic yourself up today. You were going to tell your fish story today. That's all right. Next step. Could we do that thing where like the one that got away?
Oh yeah.
Right. And they said last week when Jonathan Moss was in here, I wanted to get John. So, it dawned on me, John, first of all, incredible angler, like phenomenal, right? So, but I always wanted to get like. It dawned on me. I'm like, I never get your one that got away and all that. And he's like, oh, I got one. I'm like, oh, you do? I want to hear it. And then he's like, well, I don't have a mic. So next time we'll mic him up. So yeah, duck hunting. I totally want to go.
No, let's go.
Yeah.
We'll set it up.
That's like you have a duck camp and you do the whole thing, like, right?
Oh yeah.
You've been duck hunting your whole life?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I grew up hunting, fishing, whatever. Like we were meat people.
Right.
Like, so we augmented our food supply with deer, turkeys, redfish, snook, trout. Like, even in my heart today, like when we talk about catch and release fisheries,
yeah,
I'm fine with it. But like fishing and hunting exist because of consumption.
Yeah, right.
That's the reason they exist, and it's in all of us, right? When you took your kid fishing for the first time, and she pulled something over the side of the boat, she said, "Daddy, can we keep it?"
Right.
I wasn't there. You've never told me the story, but I know that went down that way because every kid I've ever been fishing with says, "Can we keep it?"
Yeah.
It's in us to want to keep and consume. Now, that doesn't mean we should be irresponsible with it or anything else. But so I grew up, whatever was in season, we were chasing.
Mm-hmm.
So if Dad knew somebody that had ducks, we went and duck hunted. If we knew where there were squirrels, we went squirrel hunting. If fish were biting, we went fishing.
Yeah.
That's where we got our food.
That's awesome. So, I mean, that's what it's all about.
Oh,
and that's what we're trying to preserve here, and that's what we're trying to keep alive here. And I before we get into what we're going to get into today, I just want to at least say that, like, let's keep our eyes on what's important here, and like that's the goal, right?
I talk about all the time from an all Florida standpoint, way of life being important.
Yeah.
If we can protect the way of life of Floridians, we can protect what makes Florida special.
Yeah.
That's fishing, that's hunting, that's camping and hiking, that's agriculture, that's ranching and farming. Like, if we can protect those things, Florida stays Florida.
Yeah, that's being connected by water.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Water is crucial to all those things I just described.
100%. All right, before we do the proper introduction, we're going to do our this week's Starbright's Project Sea Safe Do-Gooder. All right, and I want to mention, and I talked to Derek and Corey before you came in, because I walked in with no do-gooder. I'm like, I need a do-gooder. And you're like, well, why don't you name Dr. Todd Osborne? And Dr. Todd Osborne he's so cool, but he's super smart. He's at the Whitney Labs at the University of Florida, and he really like puts up. That's the guy in the video I just showed you.
Yeah.
Right? So he's really the brains behind the Billion Clam Initiative,
Okay.
and the clams that they're dropping in the Indian River, and all the mangrove planting and the Project Sea Safe, and working with Blair Wiggins and like all the stuff like that. Dr. Todd is the brains behind that operation, and selflessly puts in so much of his additional time just to make sure that happens the way it's supposed to happen. And he just does an over and above and beyond, great job. So this episode's do-gooder is Dr. Todd Osborne. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Dr. Todd. So joining me today, so I don't want to say if you've been living under a rock or whatever like that, but if you haven't seen this show, then maybe you don't, or, I can instantly say Yes on 2 was a big deal in this state last year during the season, and you are the man and the power behind this. And I know you're going to be humble and you're going to say a lot of people were involved in everything like this, but I want to give credit where credit's due. I mean, that was really, really your baby, and you did a fantastic, phenomenal job on it. I call you the big cheese conservationist in this state, and it's for good reason. It's earned, and I'm going to give you a lot of accolades today, Travis. You just won a big award for your work and your efforts last year and beyond. And I just want to say congratulations, and I'm honored to have you on the show for the third time?
I think this is my third time. Yeah.
So Travis Thompson, thank you very much for coming in. Love you dearly, and I appreciate everything that you do for the state of Florida.
No, I appreciate that, man. And you're exactly right. Like we've had a big couple of years and gotten a lot of stuff done. And I say we, because
yep. Now's when you can start thanking everybody.
Well, and I'm reluctant to even start naming names because there's so many, right? Like, where do you draw the line? Like, there's so many people that had such a big part of that. Like, last time I was on here was me and Robert Spotswood Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget him talking about, because you get him on here and like, I want his story. I can come do the podcast anytime. I call you, hey, Dennis, I want to do the podcast. Right. You'd have me on, right?
Sure.
We had him here. And listen to him talk about his kids filling feeders and like growing up here and wanting to make sure that, and
he had a great story.
And since then he's been named to the South Florida Water Management District Governing Board. And like, it's just, I'm using him as an avatar right now of this conversation, but like, there's a billion people out there that, how many times did we talk about it on your podcast? Yeah. 2 or 3. Like, and
it's just the Zoom calls and the posts and
it was just
the groundwork and the grassroots work that just went into it. I mean,
a million people.
I know I didn't stop throughout the whole thing. I mean, and you sold me on the cause, and I got educated very quickly on the real reason. And there were doubters and there were people, and I would just have the amount of people that I would just individually have to sit down and talk with and have the same conversation with
one after another,
and every person mattered. And I can't say that I changed everybody's mind, but most, and or at least not changed minds, but gave them information that they needed to have in order to make a sound vote.
Somebody asked me, like, do you get tired of doing the same thing over and over again? And I'm like, if you do, you need to quit doing it.
Yeah.
Like, you need to find another game, because like, it really is a labor of love. Like, if somebody wants to sit down and engage and have this conversation, and I mean, I'm not talking like an internet troll, but if somebody really wants to sit down and engage and have a conversation about this, and you believe in it, dude, what more powerful thing could you do than to give them that time to sit down there? Because you may create a evangelist, a zealot that goes out there and turns 10 people, 20 people, 500 people. You don't know what that is. So it's a ripple effect, man. You can reach the people you can reach. There's no telling who they can reach.
Yeah, it was exciting to be a part of it. And, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. We went to their house for the 4th, and their girls and my daughter, they play together all the time. And, we homeschool our kids, and they're all the same homeschool group and stuff. So we're together with them all the time. He's a really good guy. He is an ex-lawyer, right? He's from California, moved to Florida because he was fed up with California ways and all that.
Oh, yeah.
You know the story, right? So he comes here, and I was talking to him about that, and I said, I'm going to have a friend on the podcast, this guy Travis, and I just giving him kind of what we just went over, giving him the backstory. And he goes, he goes, a lot of people don't realize, like, this is the Constitution, it doesn't ever go away. And I said, that's the point. right? And he's like, no, but I don't ever like mess with, because, you know, and I said, well, you know what? All the other things, because there are, what, 8 other things that, or how many?
There were 6 on the ballot this year.
6 on the
There
ballot.
were 6 on the ballot this
I
year.
said, all the other things I didn't think so for that reason, because it doesn't go away. You want to make it a law, go for it. You know what I mean? But if you want to change the Constitution, this was something I felt was like so valuable, so meaningful, to the point that we opened up this show with saying, this is what we're trying to preserve.
100%. I remember the first time I came, we didn't talk about it till the end.
Yeah.
Second time I came back, you were like, we're going to talk about this at the beginning because it's so important and critical and we want to talk about it. And it really was. I think I added up, I did 65 podcasts over that year. And I used to do a podcast like this every week, and I want to do one again, but I was like, I didn't have time because I was doing something. But it wasn't just me doing them. It was Mike Elfenbein. It was Tiffany Mobley. It was like all these people, Tiffany Sanders. Like I can think of Dylan Hubbard. Like so many people getting out there. Jonathan Moss. Like so many people. That's what I said. As soon as I start naming names, I leave people off of it. But like so many people out there that were willing to give their time, effort, energy to put it into this cause. So I've got a friend. Jonathan was fishing with him after he got done recording with you. His name's Bobby Woodard.
Okay.
Bobby's on the board of Florida Guides Association with me. And Bobby said, this is a legacy thing for everyone that shows up and votes for it. Mm-hmm. Like whether you don't do anything else, if you show up and vote for it, you're doing something that is a legacy thing. It's going to protect something for your kids and grandkids. And I like to quote conservation stuff all the time. Mm-hmm. Roosevelt used to talk about generations still in the womb of time. People that will never know your name, like you're doing something for them. That's a really powerful concept when you think about it. Mm-hmm. Like you're protecting something that they may not even understand the forethought. But then if you look back at like what Roosevelt did with the Antiquities Act or with the Forestry Services Act or whatever, that's how we have so much public land in this country. And now we're fighting about public land constantly. And it's really interesting, the forethought that he had 120, 130 years ago to set up these programs that would protect land for generations like you and I. If we want to go hunt an elk on public land or hunt grouse on public land, we're able to do that.
They don't make them like Roosevelt anymore.
I think they do. I just think there's so much fealty to party that it's hard for us to get out of the weeds sometimes on it.
Yeah. That's the Yankees Red Sox thing.
It is. Earlier. It really is.
It makes it so tough to really get anything done at face value or for the right or wrong reasons. I mean, there's 2 schools of thought when you look at things, right? I mean, is it ethical or is it an ethical issue or is it a legal issue, right? And unfortunately, you have to look at it, well, it's a legal issue, right? Because the ethical issue, that's subject to, you know what I mean? It could be arbitrary. It could be subject to opinion. It could be, you know what I mean? What is ethical? Tough call, right? So, I mean, not that you can't sway your opinion through ethics. You certainly can. You know what I mean? But, you know, when you're talking about, you know, crossing over and doing those different things, it's like, how do you navigate that without looking at the law first, right? I mean, does that like, am I out of place for like saying it like that?
So here's how I look at it. Okay. Not to
well, this is what I'm getting at with the whole putting it on the Constitution thing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I could. And so the Constitution thing, if I back way up, to me, it's like we have a constitutional amendment for pregnant pigs. Did you know that?
I did know something about that, but I can't remember.
There's a constitutional amendment that was run in the early 2000s to protect enclosures that pregnant pigs would be in. It's a constitutional amendment that defines the enclosure a pregnant pig can be in. If that's a constitutional amendment, who's drawing the line on what should or should not be a constitutional amendment? I personally agree with your lawyer buddy. Right. I don't think everything should. Although I think of our most base freedoms, the right to fish and hunt. Like if we're going to start lopping stuff off, right to fish and hunt should be like one of the last things we lop off. Like it's pretty important, critical from a food security standpoint, from just a humanity standpoint. Like what is more freedom based than the ability for me to take a fishing rod and go catch a fish? Yeah. What is more freedom based than the ability for me to take a shotgun and go shoot a dove? Like so I don't think you're off base at all there.
Right. You know, I mean, it's just, I'm trying to sound, you know, like I know what I'm talking about, but yeah.
So not to hijack this,
but please do.
No, not to hijack it, but when you talk about that stuff, I go back to, this is not where we intended to go, but I'm a big game theory guy, and so like in the 60s, if you look at economics, there's a principle of economics called the invisible hand theory. Have you ever heard of this? It's the idea that you bake bread and I buy bread, so I give you cash, you give me bread, right? We exchange goods and services, and if he wants to make bread, He can make a better loaf or he can make a cheaper loaf, but he's going to have to play in the economics world. And this is where it exists, right? Between the seller and the buyer, the consumer. In the 60s, Milton Friedman came along, an economist, and said, our biggest obligation as a company is to the shareholder. No longer to the consumer, no longer to the product. It's to the shareholder. And as long as we're maximizing whatever the shareholder return is, we're doing a good job. Which is why you begin to see a shift in companies where we pushed so much corporatism to where we didn't matter, even if it was legal or illegal, we would just pay the fine if we could maximize returns to the shareholders.
Right.
I think there's a little bit different world that we live in.
The spreadsheets and bottom lines.
Yeah, like if in the world that we live in conservation, like I run a duck hunting operation. So I can maximize the return to my shareholders by putting corn out there and baiting ducks illegally, right? And just pay the fine when that happens. But how would that reflect on me as a conservationist? How would that reflect on me as just a general human being, ethically or morally or whatever? So in our world, Friedman economics doesn't really apply, but it applies in the whole rest of the world. You talk about development in the state, you talk about growth in the state.
Thank you for going through that. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
Doing that because it's kind of what I guess I was getting at when I'm bringing up the ethics versus law thing.
It's exactly right.
Because yeah.
No, that's the point of it is like, I just think it's an interesting, we don't think about it very often, but so we fight these conservation issues constantly, right?
Yeah.
And we're fighting against people that are held to a different standard than we are. If a developer comes in and wants to put a subdivision right there in the Everglades, they're going to pay whatever fine they have to do. They're going to do whatever they have to do to get it in there. And that's not all developers. There's some that are good citizens, but at the end of the day, they're going to get it done.
Yeah.
You and I don't get to play by this. Like we're holding ourselves to a different standard, a different set of rules. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really interesting. And that's probably why we lose a lot.
But yeah, it's absolutely why we lose a lot. I mean, even if you like, to even just draw another parallel to like the Roger Goodell, the commissioner of football, right? You talk about your Milton guy, right? Like everyone thinks, oh, he's not good for the game or he's not for the league or for the fans or anything like that. It's like, no, because his sole responsibility.
Bottom line for the
owners.
Bottom line for the owners.
Just forget that.
How can I maximize the return on the owners? He doesn't care about the players. He doesn't care about anything. He cares about the owners.
Yeah. And if you keeping the players happy, keeps the owners happy, then that's what he's going to do.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on that tangent, but I love that kind of stuff.
Like,
it's fun. I don't know that anybody calls that a party. We're going to need to open some rum if we're going down that road.
Oh, you want some rum?
No, I'm good.
Right.
Thank you.
We got plenty here. Papa's Pilar rum.
Looks great out here.
Yeah. So I think one of the things too is like, since you're bringing up like, the developers and everything like that, you know how I feel about it. I think sprawl is our number one problem, but what are you going to do about it? You know what I mean? It's almost like an impossible task to withstand. But as it creeps in towards the center of the state, we're going to get more runoff, and more sewage, and like more and things like that. And that's a problem, right?
Listen, man, if you ask me what we're going to do about it, two things I'll say. One, I think we as a people are capable of really impossible things. Mm-hmm. So I don't like this, I call it the fundraising model that nonprofits use, where every year it's the worst year the legislature's ever had.
Right.
Because this bill passed or that bill passed or this bill passed or that bill passed. Nothing's ever forever. Like we can do really hard things. We've put people on the moon before. Mm-hmm. Like we can do some tough stuff. So that doesn't mean we're not going to have to do some critical problem solving to get there. But then I look at our state and I think, can't we grow and grow well? Like we're Florida, damn it.
Yeah.
Like you're telling me that in the free state of Florida, the greatest state in the country, we can't come up with better development options. We can't come up with better development plans that still protect private property rights, but they incentivize the right type of growth. Infill development, up development in urban areas, or like even you go to a town like a Clewiston or a Winter Haven where I live. It's a little town in the middle of the state, 50, 60,000 people. We've started building up in downtown and revitalizing downtown. Why aren't we incentivizing that and slowing down some of the sprawl to where we're just creeping out with subdivisions on top of subdivisions on top of subdivisions?
Texas.
Exactly. Like let's, and to me, not to make this about party, and I'm very moderate, very bipartisan person, but I am a Republican in my heart. Like that's where I'm at.
Yeah. You and I are the same way.
And so I don't say that so that Democrats listening to this turn it off. I say that because I think Republicans need to do a better job caring about the natural resources of the state. Mm-hmm. And that's not to say we only do a bad job. but I think we could do a better job than what we're doing today. And every civilization in the history of the world rises or falls based on its natural resources. Like you can go back to the Roman Empire or the Visigoths or whatever. They rise or fall based on their natural resources and how they manage them.
Mm-hmm.
People come to Florida because of what we have, the natural resources. People are like, oh, they come here because we have no sales tax no income tax or anything like that. I think that's true, but if you put no income tax in Nebraska, I don't think they're going to be overrun with people like Florida is.
Listen, that was a big deal with the Panthers winning their second cup in a row, right?
Yep.
And they're talking about it with your Lightning too,
Yep.
right? Where it's just like everyone's like, oh, all of a sudden it's a problem 30 years later. There wasn't a problem 20 years ago when we were both horrible hockey teams. But if you really look at it for face value, you're talking about, let's take for example, Sam Bennett and Aaron Ekblad, right? And even Marchand at 37, but Sam Bennett, and they're both 29, Aaron and Sam, right? And they took a little less to stay here. And some people are like, oh, it's because of no state tax. It's like, well, you know what else it's about? They're from Canada. They grew up there, right? They just signed a contract for the next 8 years.
Yep.
So to live from 29 to 36 or whatever, 37 years old. And in December and in January, after practice, they don't have to walk out into the cold and drive to their Toronto apartment.
Yep.
They could go play a round of golf.
Yep.
And
exactly it.
Get away from the game for a little bit. They can grow up with a swimming pool. They can grow up on the Intercoastal.
They can go to the
family
beach.
here.
They can go to the Everglades.
Yep.
I don't know if they hunt or fish. They can go offshore. They can
That's it.
It's not just about income tax. It's about the place.
Yeah. And listen, you're going to get hit with insurance. I got news for you.
Oh, 100%.
Like all the other payments that we don't consider beyond income tax. You know what I mean? They make up for it.
Well, and I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure. I have no idea about tax code or anything. I'm dumb. I'm good on conservation. I'm dumb on most other stuff.
I went to art school.
But I know a guy that played professional baseball, and he had to pay taxes in the states where he worked. So
really,
yeah. So if he played for the Pirates, he had to pay taxes in the state of Pennsylvania. He had to. Yeah. I think that's how that used to work. I don't know if I'm not up on the IRS code or anything else, and I don't make that much money in here or other states to where I have to worry about it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that makes two of us. I'm a Florida guy. Yeah,
but so you talk about the income tax. Yeah, they're working in Florida half the year, half of their season, but the other half they're working in other states, and conceivably some of those have taxes that would.
I'm going to bring that up. They'd have to argue with someone on Instagram about it.
There you go. That seems like a worthwhile argument to have.
So, all right, we're getting off.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. It doesn't matter. Listen. I wanted to really, because while I have you here, there's a really, really big topic that I wanted to discuss with you.
It's not hockey.
It's not hockey.
Okay, thank God.
It's not hockey. It is. Can we discuss alligator Alcatraz?
Sure.
For a minute.
Yeah.
Because I wanna really bring up something that you wrote about recently. Which, by the way, if you guys don't follow Travis on social media, you really should, because you're an incredible writer. Your posts are really great. They're very concise, and they're very flavorful, and you always drive home a point, and it's awesome. But you wrote about, listen, with alligator Alcatraz, why are we doing it there specifically when you have places open where we could do this? Is it all for show? Is it all for whatever? You know what I mean? So I want to get your thoughts on it.
Oh, gosh. Let me see if I can go ahead and get myself in trouble. Travis@allfla.org is the email. Yeah, man, like you can't convince me it's not for show. Like there is nothing.
Yeah.
We did this under an emergency order. And first off, I don't want to talk about immigration. I think there should be immigration reform. I'm not an expert in that space. I don't know what that looks like either.
I'm not an expert in that space too, but I don't disagree with it.
Yeah,
immigration reform.
I know people that have been affected by illegal immigrants in a terrible, terrible way. So I'm not indifferent to human rights, but I don't know what that is. That's not Travis.
But
that's not where I enter.
We also have the ethical legal.
Yeah, but I'm a conservation guy. So I'm an environmental guy. Like that's where I enter and exit.
Right. So that's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's kind of. I want to go there with
it. So, but I just want to preface that because people will come on and say all sorts of stuff about it. I don't know what that answer is, but let's say that this is the answer, that we need a camp like this, okay? Or a prison like this or a detainment facility or whatever it's called. Why would you choose one in the middle of the Everglades? Like in a state that has the availability that we have. We've got empty prisons. I've been told there's one at Homestead Air Force Base. There's one at Avon Park Air Force Base. There's an empty prison in Hendry County. Why didn't we choose one of those? And the argument back to me from some political folks is, well, it would have taken us a lot of money to stand up those prisons and get them inhabitable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does it not cost you a lot of money to bring fill dirt into the Everglades and pave an asphalt pad and
in the middle of hurricane season?
Yeah. Like, to me, okay, we're level setting, all right? It's going to cost us X number of dollars to stand this up wherever we put it.
Mm-hmm.
Someone made a determination that the best place to put it is in the center of the Everglades. I would like to know who made that decision, when they made that decision, how they made that decision. And there's been zero transparency from the government. And again, sitting here as a Republican, it bothers me that there's been no transparency from the government on this. And it bothers me because I've actually gotten some phone calls from some folks that are like, you need to stop talking about this. And I'm like, why? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Am I just supposed to trust you blindly on this? Like, this is a thing that I advocate for, and I advocate for, but I'm nothing like a Betty Osceola or a Mike Elfenbein or a Diamond Bergeron or like the other Glades people that you've talked to on this show, right? The Tom Oates of the world. I'm nothing compared to the way they feel about these places. How did we arrive at this decision?
Mm-hmm.
You've gone out and you've built a tent encampment, a tent city on a airfield tarmac. There's an airfield tarmac at Avon Park Air Force Base. It's already owned by the feds. I grew up hunting at Avon Park.
Because that was one argument that I heard. Like, well, they're doing it because there's the airstrip there.
There's other airstrips. So
in and out.
So the cost to put one in the Everglades, I would like for someone to explain to me how that cost was less than it would be to put one in Avon Park at the Air Force Base.
Yeah.
On property that's already owned by the feds. Again, if you couldn't use the prison facility there, which I don't buy that, but if you couldn't use the prison facility there, you could go put the tent facility on an airstrip at Avon Park and fly people in and out on the next airstrip over, because that's what they do there. It's a working airfield. So a decision was made. The only reason I can come up with that decision was made was PR. It's so we can say we have alligator Alcatraz. It's so that we can.
What would be the benefit of that?
Well, I think it's like candy. I mean, Dennis, if we're sitting around the campfire one night and we're like, hey, we need to address this immigrant problem, you know what we should do? We should stick them in the middle of a swamp and surround it with alligators and pythons. That's an idea that grabs hold around the good old boy kind of network. And I'm a good old boy. Like I'm saying, like, if I remove the human side of that, like, okay, yeah, that actually sounds kind of cool. But we have other locations where we could have taken that and placed it with way less risk to the Everglades. And I wrote this on social media. I was like, the governor's flying this plane.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want the pilot of the plane that I'm sitting on to fly into the side of a mountain. That's not what I'm rooting for, right? Like, I hope that I am wrong. But it's irresponsible of me as a citizen and as a conservationist, as an environmental caretaker, as a steward of this place and this land. It is wrong of me to not question that decision in that place.
Yeah, and that's kind of speaks to that whole crossing of the aisle
Yeah.
aspect of, when you're talking about conservation and when you're talking about the health and, vitality of Florida itself, the whole connected by water theory that we love to talk about all the time in this show. I think that the best way to view that is without political eyes. And would red and blue be damned? You know what I mean? We're talking green here. We're talking brown, and we're talking with the color of water, and that's it. And I think, someone recently said to me, it's like, well, I don't vote for a party, I vote for clean water. It's like, okay, well, that could be blind too.
Yeah.
But, you got to look at things for what they mean for the state and the future of the state, whether your party is towing a line or not. And I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. It shouldn't matter in this case. Now, when you're talking about the alligator Alcatraz, is that on the preserve land?
No, so it's on land that's owned by Miami-Dade County.
Okay.
It's an airstrip but it's on the Jetport, which was a property that, and you could have a historian on here that's better at this than I am. I'm not an Everglades expert, but it's on a property that was owned by Miami-Dade County, and in the 60s, 70s, this was like people protested and came together. It was like
Yeah,
one
I
of
heard
the
they
first
stopped it.
bipartisan
Why it's just a strip, right?
things
Yeah.
where people came together. So they built one airstrip because Boeing made some aircraft that could only fly over water, and it needed a longer strip to take off of.
Mhm.
So they were going to make this the jet port where those took off and landed, and they were going to be able to do transcontinental flights with them. And I can't remember the aircraft model, but after they poured one strip, like the environmental community at large did not back down. They stood together. And that's not just the environmentalist. That's Johnny Jones from Florida Wildlife Federation, who was one of the great sportsmen's advocates of all time. He'd roll over in his grave if he saw what Florida Wildlife Federation has become. But Johnny Jones and his wife, they stood strong, and they were like, no, we're not going to tolerate this. Early Audubon folks, there were all these communities that came together, the hunters, the anglers, the environmental community broadly came together and said, no, not on this land, not at this place, not at this time. And to know that history, and then to have this open up with no regard seemingly given to that history, that's pretty upsetting to someone that fights pretty hard for the place that we live in.
Now, so it's not on preserved land. No, if it were on preserved land, would the government have like more of a say?
So
I want to say maybe that's not the best like way to ask that, but you know what I'm getting at, right?
It gets sticky today because at the time we're recording this,
Yeah.
I don't know who's paying for it. Is the
Right.
state paying for it? Is the federal government paying for it? Is FEMA paying the state
I mean, it's
for
like an
it?
eminent domain kind of situation.
I can't explain it because I don't have any details on how we arrived at this site. And so I know that the mayor of Miami has requested an environmental impact study, and they've offered her some amount of money. She's asked for more money for the site because Miami-Dade County actually owns it. It's a really convoluted thing with no transparency into how the decision was reached.
Mm-hmm.
And we're saying, well, because it's a matter of national security, or it's a matter of state emergency, because it's state emergency, we can do whatever we want. And I'm going to be very candid and consistent here. I don't care if we had a hurricane come through and we shut down redfish catch and keep under an emergency order. I don't like emergency orders for governance.
Right.
They should be very temporary and very defined. We should govern in the sunlight. That's how Florida is set up. We have sunshine laws for a reason. Like, there's a reason you can do a public records request and see all the emails back and forth between agency heads and whatnot. So it is troubling to me that we stood this up the way we did. I say all the time, did we do it without an environmental impact study? Because I don't know where it is. And there are people out there who will say, well, you didn't hear people complaining when they built the casino. Yeah, because when they built the casino, they had to do environmental impact studies. They had to pull permits. They had to figure out how they were going to handle wastewater and this, that, and the other. Well, this is temporary. Okay, well, that's different than the first answer. Do we know what the environmental impact is? And there's people out there complaining right now about the dark sky designation. Have you seen that? Like, so Big Cypress is one of only 2 dark sky
with
designations.
With
And light pollution is a real thing,
Right.
and it affects wildlife. I'm a duck hunter. Light pollution affects migratory birds substantially.
Mm-hmm.
We know this on the beach. It affects sea turtles, right? Like, we ask people to turn their lights off, and that's how we help restore sea turtle nesting populations.
That's why we have nothing but dim yellow lights on the beach now.
It's not nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's the be all end all that you have to have light pollution, but you could have picked somewhere else.
Yeah.
And not had to worry about that. What is the increase in traffic on 41? Like, we're running trucks up and down that road constantly right now. What's the increase in traffic there? What about just every truck in this parking lot's leaking a little bit of oil or a little bit of something's dripping off of it? All that's going to drip off on that tarmac, run off into the Everglades. What is the impact there? And again, I'm not saying that's going to ruin the Everglades. Why are we doing it there?
Yeah.
Why are we even taking any kind of a risk if that's not the only place we have to do it?
It all just seems very unnecessary. I mean, necessary to some who feel that they need to do it, but
again, I would love for someone to present me the cost of standing up. What is that alligator Alcatraz? Standing it up at Avon Park Air Force Base. I would love to have seen that, and I've not seen anybody be able to answer that because, again, it's closer to civilization. Like, based just on gas costs, it would be cheaper to do.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. I'm very, very confused by it. But, again, I don't want people, I really want to stress the fact of, like, don't just follow your party to follow your party. Like, you look at things for, let's look at it with unassociated eyes and find the real solutions.
And so there was a debate internally that I had for about 4 hours. So I quote,
you can't think like your party's batting 1,000.
no, if you think that, you're done.
Yeah.
Like, that's the emperor has new clothes, right?
Right.
Like, you're walking up there, oh man, you look great in that outfit, and you're standing there naked. Like, I quoted Ted Lasso the first time I came on this show, and there's an episode of Ted Lasso where he says, doing the right thing is never the wrong thing. And I sat and I thought about this for a minute, and I was like, okay, can they stand this up? Probably. Like, we have a really smart military. Our government is really smart. Like, they've got a lot of capable people in it. I'm sure they can stand up a tent facility there. I'm sure they could do it in a humane way. I'm sure they could do it to withstand winds and generators and pump in gas and pump out waste. And I'm sure they can do all that stuff. But why there?
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I can come up with that there is the place is public relations.
Yeah.
Like, no one can tell me a different reason than that. It's public relations.
That's all I can think of.
And wouldn't it be irresponsible of me, as a guy that talks conservation all the time, and I don't mind hypocrisy in my life in other areas, but in conservation, I really try to maintain a pretty level set.
Like, I think that, like, I don't know if you want to go here or not. If you don't want to go here or not, we don't have to. There's a rock mine situation.
Sure.
I'm going to put that in air quotes.
Yep.
Right? Because I think that has yet to be defined as a good or bad situation.
Okay.
It's my understanding, that's privately held land. Right?
Yep.
So to me, that's a completely different ballgame. Right?
Yeah. Like, okay. We can come back to Southland if you want to, but
I think, like, listen, if you want to go there, we can.
Listen,
Like,
listen, nothing's off the table to me.
Like, I think, like, listen, as far as like a contractor's concerned and everything like that, I doubt with the amount of eyes that they're going to be watching them when their project, they're going to be able to do anything egregious.
Here's a question I'll say about that. Okay. The contractor that is building the rock mine,
right,
is the same contractor that's building the EAA reservoir.
Right.
So you're saying over here, what they're doing is fine. Over here, what they're doing is the worst thing that could possibly ever happen and is going to jeopardize. It's the same set of engineers, the same contractor.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't pass the reasonableness test.
So
that doesn't pass the reasonableness test to me. Like, right there, you've kind of lost me.
Yeah. And I just think that, going down that road with that is, again, why are they doing that?
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. And
is there a PR thing there too?
I think there's a PR. Look, I'm already in trouble at this point, so I'll just say it.
I guess now I am too.
Yeah. That's Dennis Friel, dfriel. That.
Oh, God. Connected by rockmines.com.
I think conservation is big business in our state.
Right.
It's big business. And I think if we can point to something and say, this is a problem, that's a way to raise money. And when you look at something like Southland, when you look at something like the EAA reservoir, when you look at something like Alligator Alcatraz, like, I'm going broadly here, it's really easy. And so I've kind of jumped up and down a little bit on Republicans here, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy to politicize it. And so if you watched, and I think Friends of the Everglades is doing good work against Alligator Alcatraz, like
they are
advocating against. I think
they're doing a great job on it.
But they've lumped it together. No airports, no rock mines, no prisons. I don't agree with that.
I saw a sign, someone holding that sign, and I'm like, I don't think those things are.
That's their slogan. That's their campaign, and I appreciate the work that they're trying to do. I really do. But I think as soon as you did that, you've alienated part of the base that's going to help you on Alligator Alcatraz, because I'm sitting here and I'm like, I can't share that post because I don't agree with it. I think water storage in the Everglades is critically important. The smart people that I've talked to don't think the Southland Reservoir will have any impact on Everglades restoration whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And I've talked to a lot of smart people, way smarter than me. Like, if you ask me, gun to my head, do you support or oppose the Southland Reservoir? I'd say I support it. Like it seems like probably a better project than not. And private landowners finding other revenue streams on their properties. We're going to need road bed material, right? Like, it's not like we've stopped building roads. Why shouldn't a landowner be able to do that? Part of a problem that I like to solve, that I work on a lot, is, I talk about agriculture, cattle, ranching, et cetera, and then I do the duck hunting operation. That's a revenue stream for a landowner. So if we want to slow development, we go to a person that owns 10,000 acres and we say, what we want you to do is not sell this to a developer. How do we get them to not sell it to a developer? Well, one way is we put a conservation easement on it. Okay. We'll buy the development rights from you. And I'm going to make all this up. Okay. I've never done a conservation easement. I've advocated for them, but I've never written one. But let's say your land is worth $35,000 an acre. So what is that? $35 million you're sitting on. What if we give you $10,000 an acre to not develop it? So I'm going to write you a check for $10 million and you don't develop it, but you can never develop it. But you can keep working cattle on it. So you still have your revenue. Your family's able to still live on it. You can carve out where your house is or whatever. Are there other revenue streams that we can stack on top of that? So one that we talk about a lot in the conservation world is payment for ecological services. Can you provide viable habitat for cattle? Or I'm sorry, for panthers or gopher tortoises or some kind of endangered species? Yeah. Can you, and that's where I see those creatures is on private lands. Rock mining is a viable revenue stream on those properties. And so I know a rancher, I won't say their name, but I know a rancher in Florida that has a giant shale pit where they pull rock out. I don't know if it's shale or not, but they pull rock out and they go build roads with it. And that family makes, X number of dollars a month off of it. And at the front of their property, there's I don't know how big it is, a 35-acre hole that's a rock mine. They also run alligator hunts in that hole because it fills up with water and it holds water and there's vegetation growing in that hole that's filtering water and you can go fish in that hole. Like, it's not as black and white as this thing is binary good or bad. It's way more nuanced than that. And at the end of the day, I think if I'm agriculture and I look at the savings clause, I go back and look at how we've kind of pushed agriculture to the side, and we'll say sugar in South Florida. Like, let's not paint it for something different than what it is. I don't want to speak for them, but I would be looking at ways I can mitigate for water supply. One of the properties that I run, it's the biggest property I run duck hunting on, is across the street from the EAA, not the reservoir, but from the EAA itself. So you turn right into our gate and you turn left and you would be like, there's a canal and then you're in the EAA. You could throw a baseball from ours to theirs. It's that close. Managing water is very difficult to do. And I'm saying this as a guy trying to manage water for a consumptive resource. I'm trying to keep enough water on the land so that teal want to land in it, so that pintails want to land in it, so mottled ducks want to land in it. Watching how that water behaves and how the district manages the water ahead of a predicted wet winter or a predicted rainy season, or when they start flipping levers and moving water around, we can hold water in impoundments that we're intentionally holding water, and it will start moving subsurface because the ground is so sandy and I'm using that as an example. I'm not a hydrologist. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a scientist. Water
affects the behaviors of your livelihood.
And it does. And I'm saying if I can notice the difficulty of that and the nuance of that, and then we try to boil it down to a hashtag or a slogan of no rock mines. Well, I don't think the vast majority of people understand what that means. And completely understand people having questions about Palm Beach County and permitting and things like that. I think those are viable conversations that can be had. But man, I have trouble wrapping my head around that one.
I think beyond the walls of the interior of the Turnpike and Sawgrass Expressway and Alligator Alley and I-75 on the West Coast, beyond the coastline areas of that, I don't think most people understand what happens in the middle of this state. That's a vast majority. And that's one of the reasons why we think it's so vitally important to talk about these topics on the show, bringing guests like yourself, and others who've contributed their lives to this, because it really is a very important thing, because we're at that critical mass state right now. We got 24, 23 million people in the state now, 28 million people in the entire country of Australia. I think we've discussed that before, right? I mean, that's, if you think about that, it's just like not the majority of the people living down the center. That's mostly coastal
It's exactly right. So where are they going to grow?
And where are they going to get their water?
And where are they going to get their water? And, you know, you can talk to people at public utilities, which I think is a conservation issue.
Mm-hmm.
Public utilities, like, where's your water supply coming from? A lot of what is driving public utilities is what is our major project going to be for water supply for future growth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're out of water. I live in Polk County. We're out of water supply today for the population we have, and it's still the fastest growing county in the state. Where are we going to get the water from? So we're building a desal plant. What are we going to do with the salt from that desal plant? I think the plan right now is to put it back into the boulder zone, like a deep injection well. I'm fine with the science and engineering around that kind of stuff. What I'm nervous about is, how are we taking into account that growth with our natural resources?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you tell me we can go from 22 million, 23 million people to 35 million people, and here's the plan, here's how we're going to do it, and this is where we're going to get water from, and this is how we're going to distribute them around the state, I'm not against that idea. What I'm against is the sprawling impacts and the changes to how our water works, how our land works, and how it affects the things that I care about, which is wild Florida.
Yeah.
Again, hiking, hunting, fishing, agriculture, food security, like, it's a big deal.
It really is. I mean,
food security is national security. I'll say that too. Like, food security is national security.
It's, you know, I don't want to, like, I love talking conservation with people, and I love bringing up all the topics, and love hearing, like, people's passion behind it. And they always say, it's like, oh, this is why we're doing it. Oh, my kids went fishing. This is what we're trying to preserve, everything, which is all true, everything. But I think beyond that, most people don't get down to brass tacks like this.
No, gosh.
You know, and they don't really think beyond, you know what I mean, what the message of some groups is. And what the message of, you know, of what they want, what they're being told, or what they want to hear. Like, so I think that is really why I really truly believe in the work that we try to do here on this show, and that's why, you know, I'm so thankful for having met you a year ago, a year and a half ago. You know what I mean? It's really you know, because I've, with that mindset, with the things that I just explained to you, I've always been kind of in this search of, like, I need to find other opinions that are knowledgeable. I need to find people that are doing the work every day that can offer an alternative solution or alternative ideas and, you know, people experience in this realm. And, you know, I think that's really, really vitally important that people do that.
I think it's our responsibility to wrestle with these questions. And to go back to the political thing, I think it's our responsibility to wrestle with them with our elected officials.
Mm-hmm.
If an elected official has a problem with me questioning them, that's not a Travis problem. That's not an all Florida problem. That's a them problem.
Yeah.
So I hear this a lot. If you disagree on this topic, there might be political retribution in the future, and you can't get funding on something you care about. Well, you know what? If that's the case, let's go ahead and name it and put it out there right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so if and I'm not saying the governor's doing this, but if the governor were to call me and say, hey, if you disagree with me on this, we're going to make sure next year your turkey project doesn't get funded, or your duck project doesn't get funded, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to go talk about it. Because at the end of the day, like, I don't work for you. You work for me. Mm-hmm. And it's imperative to remember that. Like, you work for me. And it's stifling to me to see, the word is fealty to a party. Like, it's like, whoever our elected official is, they can't be wrong as long as they're the right party for whatever we believe.
Yeah.
And that's not true. It's just not true. And where did we get to where we can't disagree on that? And I think Alligator Alcatraz is a really interesting example, because you've not seen a single elected Republican, to my knowledge, come out and say anything about, even question it the way I am. Like, look, I'm pro-immigration reform, but, like, was this really the right place? I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because there's no political upside to them doing that. If they do that, they're going to get crushed by whoever's in charge of those things. And I still don't know who's in charge of those things, because I don't have any paperwork or documentation, but they're going to get crushed on it. And people will listen to this and say, I can't believe Travis said that. the end of the day, what I'm saying is not that controversial.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing, Travis. And this is why I wanted to bring it up. Like, shouldn't you just want to know the truth?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
this is the Yankees Red Sox thing. Like, I don't care if I'm a Yankee fan and the bottom of the ninth, you know what I mean? We lose because, we lost because you lost. That's just the truth.
You're married.
I am.
Have you ever disagreed with your wife?
I do. I have.
Have you ever disagreed with your kids?
Yes, absolutely. Well, yeah. More often than
Who are the people that you love the most in this world?
them. No doubt about it.
So why do we love these political figures so much that we can't disagree?
Mm-hmm.
And why are we so fearful of disagreeing? Like that makes us weak, or that makes us vulnerable, or that makes us whatever. And if that's the case and I can't be effective, okay, I'll live with that, because I'd rather not be effective and sleep well at night than I would, playing some of the games that we have to play to do this.
Yeah.
The end of the day, that prison doesn't belong in that location. Anybody that disagrees with that, I don't know where show me how you're standing by that decision.
It's just weird.
Because the only other side of that, the only way you could stand by that decision is, I trust the governor, I trust the government, I trust the attorney general, but no one elected. He was appointed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just think that's really baffling to me to say, I trust them so much that I don't think you should question this thing. No, thanks.
No.
No, thanks.
I want to, I'm going to switch gears on you real
Sure.
quick, if that's okay.
Thank you. Please get me out of this trouble.
I'm sorry if I got you in trouble, guys. I really am. Let's just segue that into the award that you won.
Okay.
Because I want to say all that and say Travis is awesome. You just recently won an award, right?
Yeah.
And you were recognized. Can you explain to the audience what just happened? And 3 months ago?
Yeah. So it was a really big deal to me. That was the Fish and Wildlife Foundation of Florida, mm-hmm. which is FWC's nonprofit. It's kind of like the Friends of FWC organization. Yep. And that was primarily for the work on Amendment 2, but it wasn't solely for that. Even so, Buddy Robert Spotswood is who presented it to me. And even in talking about that, he talked about, I've taken kids to Tallahassee. A lot of people don't know this stuff, but we took a group of high school students to Tallahassee to advocate for changing the state bird.
Mm-hmm. You wanted to make it the flamingo, right?
So the state bird would be the flamingo. The state songbird would be the scrub jay. I'm a scrub jay guy. Okay. I'm not anti-flamingo. I'm a scrub jay guy. But
state songbird?
Yeah.
So there's a difference between the state bird and the state songbird.
This bill would give that allocation.
Oh, okay. So no more mockingbird.
No more mockingbird.
Right.
And these kids, if you could met these kids, like, they would be incredible to have on a podcast. They're the best kids on the planet. They were Seminole High School, and they are so committed to this. They'll write letters. They'll show up. So they drove to Tallahassee, and I told them, I was like, look, if you can get to Tallahassee, I will buy you lunch at mm-hmm. The house next door. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. It's the Hubbard House or whatever. Anyway, so we take them, we get them meetings with the bill sponsors, we get them meetings with the Senate leadership, take them to lunch, show them around. To me, I think changing the state bird is a good symbol, right? Like, because I think you look at the restoration of the flamingo, I think that's important, and it's symbolic of the stuff we care about, which is wild places, and that things can recover and be good here.
Right.
Like, that's a good story. The scrub jay will likely go extinct in our lifetime if we don't manage the wildlife corridor well. The Florida Wildlife Corridor. If we don't salvage that, I think the scrub jay goes extinct in mine and yours lifetime. Like, that's in the next 30, 40 years. Right. It's the only bird that is only endemic to Florida. So there are other birds that are subspecies mm-hmm. that are found in Florida. A mottled duck, an Osceola turkey, a Cape Sable sea spider. Yeah.
No, that's right. Yeah.
But the scrub jay is the only bird that's only found in Florida that's endemic to Florida.
You don't want to make it the Muskegee duck?
No, I do not want to make it.
These things.
No, I hate
horrible.
them so much. So to me, and there's a gentleman, I'll name him as Mr. Cole. He was at Seminole High School. He just changed schools this year, but Mr. Cole is so inspiring. For 25 years, he has taught his science students how to lobby and advocate for changing the state bird to the scrub jay.
Cool.
And so you watch these kids and they move into life, and they're not, there's some of them that have become environmental scientists and things like that, but there's one that plays in the NFL. There's one that is a doctor. There's one in medical school. There's one and these kids come back And so we had a kid that came and spoke to the Senate about the scrub jay being the state bird.
Mm-hmm.
And her mom was in the audience, and her mom did the same thing 20 years ago. And dude, that like gives me chills. It makes me a little misty-eyed to think of the power of that. Whether those people were advocating for they're always going to care about conservation because they're falling in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also going to care about being engaged in their civic duty, whatever that is to them. I enter and exit the world through conservation. I said at the outset, we were talking about immigration. I don't know the answer there. I'm not that smart.
Yeah, we're not here to.
But there's lots of people that are smart in education or healthcare or immigration or whatever those things are. Man, if we can expose them and they find their niche,
mm-hmm.
and then they go and they change the world over here, man, you want to talk about planting seeds for trees that you may never sit in the shade under. That's a pretty powerful thing.
Mm-hmm.
We did so you were talking about the award. We did a thing in the schools this year where I'm very passionate about the wildlife corridor. I love the Florida wildlife.
I want to segue into that too. And
we had someone build for us a 20 by 20 foot puzzle, and we took it to schools and let kids assemble the Florida wildlife corridor. And so we talk about there's 5 tools of wildlife conservation. They're on the hat, and we'll throw that graphic up. But there's 5 tools of conservation, right?
On this hat.
Yeah. Well, I'll give the graphic to John. He can throw it in here. But it's the plow and the cow.
Right. Which
the axe, the match.
You got in the South Florida there, where the plow and the cow is, right?
Yep. Then we got the axe and the match,
mm-hmm.
which is prescribed burning through fire, and the axe is timber, and the gun representing consumptive use, fishing and hunting. Those 5 tools, Aldo Leopold came up with those in the 1920s, 1930s. Those 5 tools are still the same 5 tools that we use to manage wildlife today. If you want to have wildlife conservation, those are the 5 tools that are going to make wildlife conservation successful. That's not Travis's math. That's not Dennis's math. That's in the textbook. So we talk about those 5 tools to 3rd and 4th graders. And we do it in a way like I light a match in front of them, and I have a bow and arrow in front of them, and we talk about it in ways that they connect with it, and then we let them build the Florida wildlife corridor on this puzzle, and then we let them walk from the Keys to Georgia, just like a panther would be able to, or just like a bear would be able to, or just like, and it's this tangible touch thing. So I say all that to say, the award, yeah, a lot of it was heavily connected to Amendment 2, but it was also like we're doing a lot of stuff where we're trying to change this state in felt ways for a long time. I don't want to just react to a guano land swap or to a rock mine or an alligator. Like we're reactionary to those things, right? We didn't see them coming, and we have to. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have to react, but I don't want to react. I want to be strategic, and I want to figure out how we can get ahead of this game and start landing some punches. And I don't mean that against our government. I want to land some punches. Like I want to slow the sprawl that I see. I want to protect these wild places, and I want to make sure that a kid that's born in Florida is exposed to the things that matter that keep Florida wild. The plow and the cow, the axe, the match, and the gun.
I'm so happy that you just laid it out that way. Because I don't want people to think that the reason that we're bringing up alligator Alcatraz, the reason that we're bringing up things like the rock mine is for political reasons.
No.
I don't want people to think that by listening to this show. I don't want them to think that I've got an axe to grind about any particular group, because I don't.
No.
I really don't. Peace and love to everybody. You know what I mean? Really. You know what I mean? And I think, and I say this on the show all the time, we all want the same thing, or we should, I hope. And that's why I say you got to look at that without political eyes. Because if you want the same thing, then let's go.
Let's go. Let's go.
Do you really mean that? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Do you really mean you want a healthy Florida? Do you really want to keep everything connected by water? Do you want that water to be clean? Frickin' prove it.
Let's roll. Like, and that is what I'm trying to talk about is like, I want to be strategic about that. What does that look like 5 years, 10 years, 25 years down the road?
It's important. Just like, let's not just blindly go with your party. Well, let's just not blindly go, okay, this group's bringing this up, or this, we should just follow that. You know what I mean? Well, if you really, really care, look into it.
Yeah.
Yourself.
And I'm going to say one more thing.
Not just that situation, all situations.
I still want to talk about the corridor, but I want to say I want to say one more thing too about politicians. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know I would say there are 6 people in Tallahassee that are politicians that I actually consider friends. Like friends, like I care about them. Then there's probably another 15 or 20 that I would consider friends. Like I know, like them, think about them. Like I would text them, oh man, this thing made me think about you or whatever. Like I care about them to some degree. They're not bad humans.
Mm-hmm.
We don't agree on everything. And I think for the most part, those people I'm thinking of right now, they're okay with me disagreeing with them. They're not going to shut me out of a room because I disagree with them. They're not going to not help me with something if we can find common ground on something. I respect the heck out of them. And I respect how hard it is to do public service. Like you have to suit up and go and do what you think is right. And you've got to do it day after day after day. Florida legislators don't get paid jack. I think they get $25,000 a year or something like that. Like they get nothing. So I don't want to sound like I'm dogging on any politician specifically. And of the ones I think that I'm actually friends with, there are some from both parties there. Mm-hmm. I just think it's important to say that, like, they're humans too. They have cares. They have good days. They have bad days. They're not infallible. They are able to make bad decisions. They're trying to make the best decisions they can. Our job is to pitch them on why we think their decision should be what we think.
Yeah. I want to bring up the court order in a second, but I just want to say one last thing. One of my favorite classes or things, exercises, it wasn't a full class. One of my favorite exercises in high school was moot court.
Okay.
Where you're first introduced to, you are given a topic and you are given the stance that you have to take. Whether you believe in it or not, you have to argue for this stance on it, right? And what was some of the topics were, I mean, dare I say abortion, it did like different things. Like it was in our morality course is what it was. So they gave you moot court. And then the teacher would explain after every argument, ethics versus like the things like that. So I really think that, it's important to look at things that way sometimes, that people often are given scenarios that they don't necessarily believe in, that they have to argue for whatever reason.
On the day we're recording this, I've spoken to 3 legislators.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't mentioned alligator Alcatraz to any of them because it's not a thing that they can affect change on.
Right.
But I'm talking about stuff that's conservation policy for next session because it never stops. Like we've got to keep working on it and we've got to keep working together.
Yeah.
And that's the most powerful thing we can do is continue to work together and continue to advocate for the things we believe in. That's our job.
You spoke with Liza at this wildlife court.
Yeah, Lisa Fitzgerald.
Or Lisa. Why do I hate when I do that. Sometimes I call her. Sometimes I call her Liza. It's Lisa. Sorry, Lisa.
Lisa, who is my hero.
Yeah.
Like when I grow up, I want to be Lisa Fitzgerald, right?
She's so incredible. She's such a great person. I love her to pieces. I really do. I was honored to have her come in here on the show. I mean,
did she come in here?
She came shot right where you're sitting.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. And then she was on her way to go see you the following week.
Yeah. So
we sit there and talk about this.
Do you know how cool that is to have like, and I'm not joking when I say Lisa's one of my, like growing up in Florida, my dad worked for DEP.
Okay.
And so I grew up around environmental stuff all the time, but my dad was a hunter and angler. So when we went on vacation, we went fishing. When we went on vacation, we went hunting. Like we didn't leave Florida really. I think we left Florida twice in my entire life. Mm-hmm. As a kid growing up. But we went to deer camp or we went to turkey camp or we went to Boca Grande and snook fished or tarpon fished or whatever. I was aware of Lisa when I was in high school because I was so consumed with fishing. And the other person that I was so consumed with was Scott Moore, Captain Scott Moore from the Anna Maria area. Mm-hmm. He wrote the Snook book.
Yeah.
And to grow up and then to have the opportunity to work at CCA for a little while and then to get to know Lisa and Scott as friends who, like, I'm still shook that they know who I am. You know what I mean? It's not like, I don't care if the governor knows my name. I want, when Lisa sees my number, I want her to say, hey, Travis, how are you? Like, holy crap, Lisa Fitzgerald knows who I am. Like, that's really freaking cool, man. Like, that's
really
how I know I've arrived.
Yeah. It's important to point out. I mean, she's in the Florida Sports Hall of Fame for her accolades as an angler. She's the first angler.
Period.
Not woman angler.
We'll say
angler.
First woman angler?
No, first angler.
Yeah. Of all the anglers in the history of Florida, the Stu Apps and Lefty Crays and the Flip Plows and everybody else, the only angler in the Florida Sports Hall of Fame is Lisa Fitzgerald.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
Legendary.
Yeah, legendary. So the corridor called me and they said, hey, would you be willing to do a panel And so when I think of a panel, I think, me and 3 people, and I'm moderating what they're talking about. And it was Alex Freeze is her name. She should be a do-gooder of the week sometime. Alex, I'll pitch her for you.
Okay.
But Alex works for the Corridor. She's a rock star. She's like, well, I was thinking just you and Lisa. And I was like, what do you mean just me and Lisa? Because I'm not in Lisa's category. Like, she is the Hall of Famer. She's the legend. And so right there on the main stage, and this is such a testament to me of the caliber of the people at the Florida Wildlife Corridor. And I want to tell a real quick story about that, okay?
Go ahead.
They do this event every other year.
Mm-hmm.
So this is year 5. They've done 3 events. The first year I went, I was the only, myself and Gary Jennings from ASA were the only 2 sportsman representatives in the room. Okay, everybody else, there may have been other hunters or fishermen there, but they did not represent sportsmen's affiliated organizations.
Mm-hmm.
They may have just hunted and they worked for Audubon or whoever. And so I brought that up, like tactfully, appropriately, but I brought that up. I was like, it's kind of frustrating to me that we didn't have more sportsmen at the table at this. The last Corridor Summit, 2 years ago, 18 months ago, whenever it was, they allowed me to be part of a panel on stage. So I was one of 4 voices up there on a moderated panel. That was really cool for me because I got to talk about how hunters and anglers impact wildlife conservation and the Wildlife Corridor. Wildlife Corridor is one of the most ambitious conservation projects in the history of the state. Mm-hmm. I said last year, Amendment 2 is the most important conservation thing we will get to vote on. The Wildlife Corridor is arguably the most important conservation legislation to ever pass in this state. It is unbelievably important. It should be tattooed on our foreheads. Like, it's that important. So I got to be on the stage a couple years ago, and that was powerful because they recognized as a sportsman, like that was a voice they wanted represented there, and they chose me to be able to do that. This year, they allowed me to help shape a set of breakout panels where we included a number of sportsmen in those. Robert Spotswood was there. He moderated a panel. Gary Jennings was there from ASA on a panel. It was Eric Sutton, who used to be the executive director of FWC, was there. So we were really able to incorporate hunting and fishing as verbs in conservation, which is a thing that has kind of been left off the table for a while. And I just want to praise that Wildlife Corridor group again, the Wildlife Corridor Foundation, for recognizing that. And it's not often I come to you and say, Dennis, we should do this. And you recognize the deficiency and you fix it. Mm-hmm. Like it's hard to do that, right? Like it's in our nature of like a pridefulness of like to be able to fix that. The Corridor Foundation did just fix it. I don't know what else I'd ask them to do. Like that's how far they went. It was like, I don't know what else they'd ask them to do. There were multiple sportsmen's groups.
So it's full in preservation mode at this point, right?
Yeah, like it really was incredible.
That's where you want to get.
Yeah, like right? it was incredible.
We always say conserve, restore, preserve.
Yeah,
right.
Like they're
actually restore, conserve, preserve.
Yeah,
right. And you would get to preserve
forever.
Preserves where you want to be.
There were people in that room from American Daughters Conservation. I don't know if you know that group. Salt Strong Foundation had people in the room.
Salt Strong is a good group.
CCA had people. Love Salt Strong.
Yeah.
CCA had people in the room. Like it was suddenly morphed from this thing where it was like Travis and Mike Elfenbein kind of like wandering in the darkness to suddenly we had a lot of sportsmen in the room with farmers, with ranchers, with environmentalists, that feels really powerful. And it feels like we can do a lot of things. And I credit the leadership of the Corridor Foundation. That's Mallory Lex Dimmitt and Jason Lauritsen and then Alex and Marley Fuller, who really kind of championed us being in the room. So what they allowed Lisa and I to do was get up there and talk about how our sporting heritage plays into conservation. And, I think you and I have touched on it on the show before. I've heard other people touch on it on the show. Things like Dingle Johnson funds or Pittman Robertson dollars, like the federal dollars that come back to the state that help pay for boat ramp access or take me fishing stuff or boating access or whatever. Artificial reef program is a lot of that's paid for through fishing license, Dingle Johnson dollars or sportfish restoration dollars. That's really powerful to be able to sit up there and say, the Wildlife Corridor is this idea of we're going to have 18 million acres roughly in the state that are conserved, protected. They can be working lands, they can be WMAs, they can be state forest, national forest, whatever. There's a number of ways they can be in there. But they're never going to be developed. And it provides this network for, again, a panther could start in Flamingo and he could walk to the Okefenokee Swamp and not get hit by a car.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have this contiguous green infrastructure up the state. Tremendously, tremendously important. If you look historically at the first corridor summit, the only time hunters was mentioned, the only time sportsmen was mentioned, was Dr. Hillary Swain from Archibald stood up there and said 19% of the current wildlife corridor, which is roughly 10 million acres, 19% of it was acquired with sportsmen's dollars. The biggest acquisition tool for the current wildlife corridor is sportsmen's dollars. It's our license dollars historically, because dollars used to go way further than they do now.
Right.
So used to your license dollars was going to buy land way more than it is enforcement or science or studies and I'm not saying the way we do it now is bad either.
Right.
But historically, like parcels like Corbett right down the road or like those lands were acquired with sportsmen's dollars. And so what an incredible job the corridor did picking an A+ ambassador in Lisa Fitzgerald and then me, because they didn't have anybody else.
Hey,
But-
no. I mean,
but
don't
like,
sell yourself short,
putting
though, Travis.
us on that stage
I mean-
and allowing us to have that conversation in front of a room full of people. And there are people in that room that do not approve of hunting or fishing. They don't believe you should be hunting or fishing.
Right.
And allowing us a position on that stage to be able to say, I'm a big advocate for rangers. I'm a big advocate for cattle. I think cows keep Florida green is what my friend Pat Durden used to say, the past president, and he's right. Cows keep Florida green. A cattleman raises a cow to die. Like if we cut down to the quick of it, that calf is born so that it can be slaughtered and eat.
Right.
It's going to provide meals, food security. I don't have a problem with that. I understand some people might, but I don't have a problem with that. A deer that a hunter wants to pursue, we provide the habitat and the land and the opportunity so that it might die. I mean, it's going to die eventually some way or another, but it might befall to a hunter.
Right.
That's pretty powerful when you think about it. We fight for
Well, I mean,
fisheries.
the cattle it's for human consumption and profit.
It's exactly right.
Right.
So is the deer is for human consumption too, to some degree. When we fight for fisheries and clean water, I've always been a pro-consumption guy.
Right. Well, I guess the difference is you're not keeping deer in a pen.
No.
You're killing them.
Exactly
on
right.
call.
That's an agricultural practice.
Right. Exactly.
And I'm fine with that too, if that's what you want to do.
Right.
To me, it's powerful to sit on that stage and say, at the end of the day, a hunter and a cattleman both result in a dead animal.
Mm-hmm.
And we both care deeply about this land and this place. And we both care deeply about not just the dead animal, but we care about the gopher tortoise and the snail kite and the panther and the bear and everything that we see and we interact with out there.
Are we still talking about the snail kite? Is that still a thing?
Oh yeah.
Right.
I love snail kites.
I mean, are they still like with the land and the water flow and like and all the is it am I thinking of the wrong bird?
No, they're functioning really good. They're coming back strongly.
Doing okay?
Oh,
okay.
yeah. We've had them on our properties like blow up in different nesting groups and stuff. Like they're doing really good.
Good.
Really good. But it's just powerful to me to think about the connectivity. And then the other side of it is, if you're not a landowner,
Mm-hmm.
you and I don't have 25,000 acres.
No.
The ability for us to take our kids or ourselves on a Saturday morning and go to a piece of land and connect with wild Florida is critically important to our love for wild Florida. If you can't touch it, it's hard to fall in love with it. If you can't see it, it's hard to fall in love with it. And so we live in very urbanized areas.
Mm-hmm.
That's where your jobs are. That's where your monies are. For the most part, most of the state lives in urbanized areas. I want people to be able to connect with wild Florida, and hunting and fishing is a critical way they're able to do that.
Yeah. It's very important that we keep a sharp eye on it. I mean, it's because as we expand and as we sprawl and everything like that, it's going to be really, really crucially important how we manage that. You know, like I said earlier, we're at like that critical mass state where it's like, okay, anything beyond where we're at now, you got to really, really be careful with, because there's not like you can drive up the state and they're like, oh, there's plenty of land in Vero. And it's like, well, you think that's not going to be consumed like that?
There's a big, not to go off on another tangent, but there's a big push against development now. Like you
Right.
see a lot of people out there jabbering about development. And I'm going to say two things about that. One, I'm going to say it this way. Influence without maturity is manipulation.
Right.
And what I mean by that is there's got to be some wisdom to the nuance that goes on behind what you're using to influence. Because there's a lot of people that can stand up a social media account, say the right things, and get followers that suddenly think that they are the experts in conservation.
Mm-hmm.
That's not necessarily true. So influence without maturity, manipulation. Second thing is the pushback that we see against development. When we went through Amendment 2 last year, Article 1, Section 2 of the Florida State Constitution holds private property rights as sacred. That's a pretty tough obstacle to get over if you want to stop a private property owner from developing.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying we don't need to revisit how comp plans work, how rezones work, how those sorts of things work. And I think the legislature could do a better job with that. And I think we will see some leaders begin to step up in that space. From candidly, the
Well,
Republican
that's it.
side.
That's it. Laws.
Yeah, I think
Versus
we'll see that.
ethics,
That's exactly right. It's
Laws
exactly-
versus.
because that landowner, somebody walks up to you and says, "Hey, Dennis, I'll give you $5 million for your house." You're going to think about it,
Right. You're going to think about it.
right? You're going to think
That's
about it.
the truth.
So if you're a cattle rancher and somebody walks up to you and says, "I'm going to give you $5 million, $10 million, $50 million for this piece of property," who turns down that kind of money? And I know a lot of cattle ranchers that have been demonized in water quality discussions and lots of things that have turned down $12,000, $20,000, $35,000, $45,000 an acre time after time. And these are not people sitting on piles of money already. They're doing it because they love the land and they love the place and they care about the land and they care about the place.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's tough for them to pass on. That's tough
Yeah.
for them to sell. And private property rights are sacred in the state. So I don't say that to be reductive because I appreciate the passion that people have around growth and development and sprawl. But I feel like sometimes we're fighting the wrong battle and we're just putting Band-Aids on bullet holes.
Well, yeah, Band-Aids on bullet holes.
Like,
Saying
you
it
know,
all the time.
We need to be focused on changing the process, changing the system, and working in collaboration with those elected officials to say, look, I get that property rights are sacred. I get it. Is there not ways, though, that we can curtail sprawl by maintaining zoning or looking at home rule or looking at some of these other things, encouraging and incentivizing maybe agri-hoods, maybe the opportunity to, instead of these cookie cutter subdivisions, maybe we're building neighborhoods where we incentivize people to grow their own food or look at small farms, or there's more than one way to skin a cat. I'm not that smart. Let's find some people that are smart, put them in a room and see if we can solve some of these problems.
Yeah, but you're pretty smart. I got to tell you that. You are. No, and here's the thing, and just to bring up a point about that too, is like, for a little while we were thinking, okay, we got connected by water. We get this trademark a million ways, right? It's fully protected. And we went out there thinking they're going to take it. Can't. But then we say, okay, well, we want, like, all the work that we do or all the talking that we do or where we do for conservation and stuff like that, should we develop this also as a nonprofit or a 501? Right?
Yeah.
And we've really, really thought about doing it. And the more we looked into it, the more I said, you know what? I'm not yet. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I'm not knowledgeable enough yet. You know what I mean? I don't know what it takes to run a 501 because the more I started looking into it, you don't know what you don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Until you really start looking into it. And I was like, okay, but I don't think there are enough people that kind of analyze and take, you know what I mean? Take pause at enough. You know what I mean? It speaks to a lot of things.
5 years before I started All Florida, because I didn't want to start a nonprofit.
Yeah.
I didn't want to start a nonprofit. Same kind of conversation. I just kept, I would go back and forth with people and I'd be like, I just
the
don't
financial alone is,
I mean, ultimately you're into the fundraising world,
right.
And fundraising is what's going to drive or make or break you. And I don't ever ask for money. Like that's
the thing. It's like, I didn't want to start it because I'm like, you know what? I don't know enough about it. And I don't want to fall into a situation where I made this amount of money this year, and then I have to start maintaining that standard. And to me, I wasn't ready for that. You know what I mean? I wasn't ready to uphold that whole responsibility factor of it because I'm an artist, man. I still have a whole entire art studio of things to worry about too. So we will get there one day. But I looked at it and I was just like, I don't want to fall into the situation where I need to find more funding or I need to.
So ours
keep
is
that
even,
standard up.
ours
You know what I
isn't
mean?
about salaries or anything else. But by the way, if you want to donate, allfla.org
There we go.
/donate.
Right.
We're trying to raise $100,000 this year.
Mm-hmm.
And we have not pushed our campaign. We're actually launching it at ICAST. So this won't have aired by then, but it'll be after we recorded it.
Mm-hmm.
We're launching our campaign called 1,000 Hands for the Land. And we're looking, the idea there is if we get 1,000 people to give us $100, it's $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
And that money goes into those school advocacy programs the school education programs that we talked about, but also the advocacy side. Like if you look at the stuff that we've done, Amendment 2, you talked about, that was a thing we championed. It, again, wasn't just us. There were other groups in there.
I heard you.
But
you're right.
You know,
Still.
that's a thing. We went to Tallahassee. I think I went to Tallahassee 7 times during session this year.
Mm-hmm. This year so far?
Yeah. And so session's done, but
Right.
I went up there 7 times. Everything from the state bird to Apalachicola oil drilling, which got signed by the governor. It's a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge deal that they're not going to drill in the Apalachicola River.
Right.
I can remember talking to Senator Simon about that over a year ago and being like, and here's this Republican champion that took on an environmental thing. And it's like, that's good stuff, man. That's powerful stuff, isn't it?
That is, I'm on that mission.
Dude.
I'm on a mission to legitimize that word again, the environmentalist.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
It's completely been hijacked.
It has.
And it's turned into a bastardized word at this point. And I want to bring it right back down to the middle of the conversation. I don't want it to go right. I don't want it to go left. I want it to be in the middle. I want it to be its own thing.
So that's why I say conservationist all the time. And the other thing I love is Steve Ranella, the guy from Meat Eater.
Yeah.
He says a conservationist is an environmentalist with a gun. And I'm like, okay, that's me.
Right.
That describes me.
Exactly.
I'm an environmentalist that carries a gun. We had another, the state parks bill, SB 80. I think you're going to have Jessica Namath on at some point in the future.
Yep.
Jessica, crazy as sprayed cockroach. She's going to pick on me for saying that, but just bulldog after that bill, like just time after time. And I think that's a testament to the effort and energy and work and not caring about party.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't matter who she was talking to. She could talk to a Republican legislator. She could talk to a Democrat legislator. As long as she could get someone to listen, she just kept after it. And what she wanted in the bill got in the bill. In the final iteration of the bill, it was what she wanted that bill to be.
Yeah, it's a big win.
That's, and I look at somebody like her and I'm like, you deserve all the praise in the world because you efforted so hard on that. I can go to Tallahassee, go in a room and have a conversation with somebody about it and be like, look, I'm aligning with this. I agree with this. But she was out there leading a charge.
Yeah.
That's going to hell with a water pistol, man. Like no money behind it or anything else because lobby dollars move legislation.
Sure they do. Yeah.
We're not going to have lobby dollars. We're not going to hire lobbyists. We don't have that kind of money. Even if you created I joke all the time to the anti-development folks. I said, what you need is to create the anti-development lobby and then tell me how much money you have to spend. And that's tongue in cheek because it doesn't matter. The development lobby is always going to have bajillions of dollars more than you.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you have to spend, they're going to spend 4 times that and win. You got to come up with creative, different ways to do this. And that is going and sitting down with these legislators, going and developing relationships with them, getting involved in the game, showing up. Gene Lawless, who was another past president of Florida Cattlemen's, he says, get up, show up, and never give up.
Yep.
I think that's really powerful too.
Mm-hmm.
And you just do that day after day. I mean, that's just in your general life. You have to do that.
Sure, yeah.
But I think about that through the lens of Tallahassee and the work that we do up there. So anyway, sorry, I can chase rabbits on conservation all day, Dennis.
That's, you know what? We covered a lot today.
We did.
And I don't know. Listen, I think people more just in summary.
Yeah, summarize that.
In summary.
That train wreck of
I just want to say this. Be truthful. Be honest. Look at everything like you'd be looking at moot court. Right? And just understand we all want the same thing.
Yeah.
Or we should at least all want the same thing. And look at it through those eyes. Like, is it for the good of Florida? Is it good for the health of Florida? Or are you looking at it just from your party?
And I'll say this, don't be afraid to disagree.
Right.
But don't be afraid to be kind.
It's
like that. I think that's a critical thing in this.
Point.
Like, I can't tell you, you know, Chairman Barreto.
Yeah.
Rodney Barreto.
Absolutely.
At FWC. Like, he's been getting a lot of heat the last
Yeah.
6 months, 9 months, whatever. I am very supportive of FWC and the commission, and
He's a good guy.
I have no interest in reforming the commission. I think the people that are leading that movement, that's when I talk about influence without maturity is manipulation. That's a lot of what that is.
Yeah.
I've disagreed with Rodney 25 times. I've been to 51 commission meetings. So it's FWC commissioner meetings.
People have to understand what his job really is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But where I'm going is, like, I've disagreed with Rodney 10, 15 times from a podium in front of a microphone on the Florida channel that's broadcast. And I've never done it from a place of malice.
Right.
I've never done it where, man, you're just a jerk and you need to step down. And you need to
the rhetoric needs to go away.
That is not how you, that's not.
What did we say the other, decorum?
Yeah, like that's not how you interact with humans in real life.
I know.
You don't interact with the manager.
Yeah,
you don't interact with the manager of the restaurant that way. Like, if I disagree with Rodney, it's on a policy thing, and he understands where my heart is, and I understand where his heart is, and I win some. And honestly, Rodney has moved to me. If I've disagreed with him 10 times, I'll bet you 6 or 7 of them I've won because he's listened. And it's not just me. It's me or Mike or, a number of guys that are there. But he's listened, heard what we've said, and changed his position or softened his position in our favor. That's what you want to fix?
Right. Yeah.
Come on, man.
Rodney's a good guy.
Get out of here with that.
Yeah.
Like, get out of here with that. It's not just Rodney, though. It's the entirety of the commission. Like, Commissioner Lester, who's on there, or Commissioner Ferrier, who's on there, and Nicholas, or every one of those guys at different issues. I've gone up and talked to them and been like, hey, I'm on this place on this issue. And they've said to me, no, I'm not there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to agree to disagree, but they respect because I've come at them like a man.
Yeah.
Haven't come at them. I'm being respectful with my opinion, and they know where I'm at. They know where I'm coming from. And at the end of the day, I'll go back to the argument with your wife or your kids. You just want to be heard. Like, a lot of times we just want to be heard. Like, I want to know that you listened to me and understood me. And then if you disagree with me, the outcome looks different than if I feel like you're shut off and entrenched ideologically from the outset.
Mm-hmm.
I think FWC does a really good job of listening and hearing from their stakeholders. I think they understand what their stakeholders are looking for and asking for.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier to sit there and talk on social media and
oh my gosh,
be a jerk.
That's the easiest.
It really did not help the situation of all this. And
there were people.
This is why most of them don't show up to the meetings, Travis.
There's an account
because they can't do it unless they're using their thumbs.
People text me or DM me messages from some of those accounts that are against the FWC commissioners.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no one is named that because it's not a person.
Right.
Like, if you're hiding behind an anonymous account on the internet, you're full of shit.
I don't take them seriously. I don't take them.
Sorry if you got to edit that out.
No, you don't have to. I don't take them seriously. There's a lot of times, like, you make one comment, even if it's not a conservation topic, even something else. I always look at the person's account, and if they have 5 posts and 22 followers, it's some ghost
some
account.
Of these are
I mean?
accounts with 30, 35, 40, 50,000 followers.
I know, but I'm saying if you see that, though, just don't even
disregard
them. You know what I mean?
But these are people that aren't real people. If you're a real person, you should have a name.
Yeah.
So put your name in there.
Right.
And then beyond that, I've never seen these people at any of the bajillion meetings I've driven up and down the state wearing the tires off my truck going to.
Which leads you to believe, who's funding that person?
Clearly, because I'm like,
right.
And I've had people question, well, who's funding you? Dude, get out of here with that. Like, you can
fund. Yeah. What's a fund?
Yeah. So, but I say all that to say, I didn't mean to go off on that tangent. I said all that to say the kindness of how we deal with people, regardless of their position. That doesn't mean we have to be meek. Mm-hmm. Kindness isn't meekness.
Right.
Right. Like, I can still be firm and respectful in what I believe, but the way I treat you should be human in the way I treat you. And
right.
I think that has been lost. Like you said, the decorum of social media. But I think that's very important when you show up and you speak you speak what you believe and you say it, and the way you say it matters.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the most powerful things.
It absolutely does. And Jordan Peterson would call that agreeable. Right.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're right. Be kind, rewind.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
That's it. All right. You hungry?
I'm starving.
All right. Let's go get some food.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming, man. I really, listen, I cannot stress enough, this how honored I am you giving me your time like this, and for the third time.
No, this is fun.
And just always being there when if there's a question or if there's a topic that I just want to get a little bit more information on.
Yeah.
Just being accessible like that, it really means a lot. And listen, I just want to just say one thing to the audience or anyone's listening. I don't care who you are. Travis is someone to be listened to, be heard, right? You want to be heard? Like, just listen. At the very least, whether you agree with him or not, just listen, because he's a smart guy.
I appreciate that.
It's true. So, all right. Allflorida.org.
Allfla.org.
Allfla.org.
Yep. Social handles, allflaorg. Or you can find me, Travis Thompson, not to be confused with the rapper. There's a rapper named Travis X Thompson.
Is there really?
Yeah, and shouldn't say this because it'll jinx it. He and I have been talking about collabing.
Come on.
Which would be a life dream come true.
Really?
Like if we could collab on a conservation rap, like how, what does that do to
Pompano Beach just gave Kodak Black the key to the city. So, anything can
like, does that put me on Lisa Fitzgerald's level? If I could collab with a rapper, like a real life rapper,
not
like
quite.
not quite, right? But it gets me closer.
Gets you closer. Did you see the Pompano Beach gave Kodak Black the key to the city?
No.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I guess saying like all the community stuff he does give back to the community, but he's got there's a list of things that we need to discuss.
I am
in the city.
I am not a rap guy, but I'm like, this would be cool. Like I need to collab on a rap.
Yeah.
Like I need to drop a diss tape or something, whatever it's called.
You should.
A beef. That's what I need. I need a beef.
You got a lot of beefs.
I got a lot of beefs. I need to drop.
You got plenty of beefs.
That's what I'll do.
So, all right. Speaking of beef, let's go eat some.
All right.
So, all right. Your ego is not your amigo. Always do your best. At the end of the day, just let God do the rest, and do not ever forget that no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, we're all connected by water. Travis, we out.
We out.